When learning stops, decline begins quietly, not with failure, not with collapse, but with small moments you barely notice. You stop reading. You stop listening carefully. You stop asking questions. Nothing dramatic happens. Your life still looks fine from the outside. But inside, something starts shrinking. Men don't suddenly become weak. They become comfortable. And comfort slowly dulls the edge that once kept them sharp. A man who stops learning doesn't lose intelligence overnight. He loses curiosity. And curiosity is what keeps the mind alive. Learning is not about collecting information. It is about staying mentally upright. It keeps you alert to change. It keeps you humble enough to adapt. When a man believes he already knows enough, he stops growing without realizing it. He repeats the same opinions, the same habits, and the same reactions. Time moves forward. He does not. Quiet discipline understands this truth. Growth must be maintained, not assumed. Just like the body weakens without use, the mind shrinks without challenge. Learning is not a phase of youth. It is a responsibility of maturity. A disciplined man keeps learning not to impress anyone, but to remain capable, relevant, and steady as the world keeps changing around him. Most men misunderstand learning. They think learning is about gathering facts, reading more books, watching more videos, knowing more than others. But quiet discipline sees learning differently. Learning is not about information, it is about mental strength. A disciplined man learns to sharpen his thinking, to question his own assumptions, to recognize when the world has changed, and he must change with it. Information alone does not make a man strong. Many men know a lot but still react emotionally, make poor decisions, and repeat the same mistakes. Learning becomes strength only when it changes behavior, when it slows your reactions, when it improves your judgment, when it helps you respond instead of explode. A man who keeps learning stays mentally flexible. He does not panic when situations shift. He does not cling to outdated beliefs just to protect his ego. He understands that the world does not pause out of respect for his age or experience. Learning trains a man to stay grounded, to absorb pressure without breaking, to adapt quietly instead of resisting loudly. This is why disciplined men keep reading, reflecting, and listening, even when no one is watching. Not to sound intelligent, not to win arguments, but to remain capable. Mental strength is built the same way physical strength is built, with consistent, intentional strain. A man who stops learning avoids that strain, and what avoids strain eventually weakens. Quiet men understand this. They learn, not loudly, not publicly, but consistently. Shrinking does not look dramatic. It does not announce itself. It blends into daily life. A man who is shrinking still goes to work, still pays bills, still shows up physically. But mentally, he is no longer expanding. He reacts faster than he thinks. He interrupts instead of listening. He becomes defensive when challenged. He says things like, "That's just how things are. I've seen this before. Nothing really changes." These are not signs of wisdom. They are signs of closing down. A shrinking man avoids unfamiliar ideas. New tools feel annoying. New perspectives feel threatening. Not because they are wrong, but because learning now feels uncomfortable. He prefers routine over growth, certainty over curiosity. Slowly, conversations become predictable. Opinions harden. Flexibility disappears. At home, he becomes impatient, and at work, he resists change. With younger people, he feels irritated. or irrelevant. He may still be respected for his past, but he is no longer shaping the future. The most dangerous part? He often doesn't realize it. Shrinking feels like settling, like being realistic, like not wasting time anymore. But quiet discipline sees the truth clearly. A man who stops learning starts protecting comfort instead of expanding capacity. And comfort, left unchecked, always shrinks a man's world. Growth keeps a man awake. Learning keeps him open. Without them, life slowly becomes smaller, even if it looks stable from the outside. Strong men do not enjoy discomfort. They simply accept it. Learning, real learning, is uncomfortable. It exposes gaps. It challenges pride. It reminds a man that he is not finished. This is why many men quietly stop learning, not because they are incapable, but because their ego has grown more fragile than their discipline. A strong man understands something simple. Discomfort is not a threat. It is feedback. When learning feels difficult, it means the mind is being stretched. Just like muscle, the mind resists before it adapts. Strong men continue learning because they value capability over comfort. They would rather feel temporarily uncomfortable than permanently limited. They read things that challenge their beliefs. They listen to people who know more than they do. They stay teachable, even when no one forces them to. Now, this is not humility for display, it is discipline for survival. The world changes whether a man agrees with it or not. Technology shifts, work evolves, families face new pressures. A man who keeps learning stays useful to his family, to his work, to himself. He does not need applause. He does not need recognition. He learns quietly because his responsibility does not disappear with age. Strong men do not learn to look smart. They learn to stay steady. And they understand this final truth. The pain of learning is temporary, but the cost of shrinking is permanent. Strong men do not turn learning into a performance. They do not chase trends. They do not announce what they are reading. They do not compete to sound informed. They learn quietly, with intention. Learning does not require intensity. It requires consistency. A disciplined man chooses small, repeatable inputs, a few pages a day, a short reflection after work, one question he sits with instead of rushing past. He learns without rushing to conclusions, without needing to prove anything. Ego turns learning into pressure. Discipline turns it into habit. A man who learns well knows when to slow down. He rereads. He pauses. He allows ideas to settle before reacting. He does not consume information endlessly. He selects carefully. What helps me lead better? What helps me decide more clearly? What helps me stay steady under pressure? And these questions guide his learning. He understands that not every lesson is new. Some lessons need to be revisited at a deeper level. The same book can teach a different man at a different stage of life. Learning becomes sustainable when it serves responsibility, not ego. A man who learns this way does not feel overwhelmed. He feels grounded. Quiet learning compounds, day by day, without noise. And over time, it keeps a man mentally strong, capable, and calm, even as the world keeps accelerating around him. Growth is not something a man completes. It is something he maintains. There is no age where learning becomes optional, no season where curiosity is no longer required. A man does not stop learning because he has arrived. He stops because he decides to settle. And settling always comes at a cost. Men who keep learning do not chase youth. They preserve capability. They understand that responsibility does not shrink with time. It expands. Family, work, health, leadership, all demand a man who is mentally awake. Quiet discipline is choosing growth without noise, learning without ego, improving without needing proof. It is reading when no one is watching, reflecting when no one is praising, staying teachable even when pride resists. A shrinking man asks, "Is this worth my time?" A growing man asks, "What kind of man do I need to remain?" Learning keeps that answer honest. Strong men do not fear being students again. They fear becoming rigid, because rigidity breaks under pressure, but adaptability holds. So a disciplined man learns every day, not because he is behind, but because he is responsible. And he knows this quietly powerful truth. When learning continues, decline never gets a chance to begin.